good evening, Vikings fans. This is Skol for Days with Day, Mike, and Kyla. This is a Purple Code production and simulcasted on Purple and Gold for Days. And this is our review episode of the greatest comeback in NFL history. Regular season, playoffs, preseason. Well, who cares? Before we get started, this is a production of the Purple Code, so please like, comment, and subscribe to the usual channels on the Purple Code. And that would be the Purple Code backup page on Facebook, TPC, YouTube, the Purple Code, as well as TikTok and Twitter. Yeehaw. And because this is a Purple Code production, we have to show some love to our sponsors. And as always, our first is Rinaldi's Pizza and Pasta in Woodbury. They are located on Wood Lane Drive off the intersection of Valley Creek Road and I-494, as well as Nautical Bowls on Hudson Place. Again, that's off of Woodbury Drive and I-94. Ladies first, as always, Mike. Kyla, your initial reaction to both, to the entire game, first half, second half, and results, your thoughts. The floor is yours.
Honestly, at halftime, I was just kind of like, whatever. Like, I've definitely been way more angry. I was with my usual crew, and I was like, well, it is what it is. But then a part of me was like, you know what? We Justin almost saw the Vikings blow a 29-0 lead live last year. So I was like, hey, if we can almost blow a 29-0 lead, surely we can come back from 33 down. And like, I was kind of joking to myself, but they actually did it. I mean, at this point, I'm done with it. I'm done guessing with this team. Like, they're just abnormal. They're weird. There's nothing. I can't make any. I just don't know. They're crazy.
Yeah. Weird is the word we've been using to describe them, and it's just like, don't expect anything, because the only thing you should expect is the unexpected.
It's a Big Brother house.
Yeah, that too. But no, you kind of echoed a point that SK made on the post game that he and Rap did, that all of those close wins this year, and to a certain extent, all of the close losses last year, have prepared this core group to be able to say a game is never over. Mike, your initial reaction?
I mean, just like Kyla, I'll be honest, I've been angrier because at halftime, okay, it was over. Pack your bags. Well, I don't ever shut games off. We've talked about this before. I watched that Sean Mannion disaster last year for 4 quarters. Why? I couldn't tell you, but I did. And this time, sticking around paid off. Let's put it that way. And yeah, the Vikings have the greatest comeback in NFL history. Man, that feels good to say. And I don't ever want to hear anyone tell me Kirk Cousins is not clutch anymore. That narrative has died Saturday. It's done. And just to be a little bit rude, Matt Ryan is the biggest choke artist in NFL history. Done. He cost himself any chance Saturday of a Hall of Fame induction. No. There's no chance they put that guy in now. He's Two of the biggest choke jobs in NFL history.
He's no longer a first ballot Hall of Famer. He will get in because these numbers are so inflated with how the Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan. Now, you can make the argument about Eli Manning, but 2 Super Bowls, okay, end of story.
MVPs too.
MVPs. Listen, do I think that Phillip Rivers and Matt Ryan and quarterbacks like that are at the same level as Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Steve Young, Brett Favre, John Elway, Jim Kelly? No, I don't. But the fact of the matter is that they're going to have the pedigree due to their longevity. But that's a different discussion for
we could literally do a video on that. But in all seriousness, back to the Vikings.
Go ahead, Kyla. Uh-oh.
So I just put comment on what you just said.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, me or Mike?
You.
Oh, Kyla, go ahead.
Close for a second, so say it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys, just speaking on that, I was saying to the people I was with after the game, like at a certain point in our comeback when Delvin went into the end zone, I knew right there, I was like, we're going to win this game.
I was terrified of the 2-pointer, I'm not going to lie. And then Kirk just throws a laser beam.
We're going to win this game. Like, they're so abnormal and weird. They're going to do it. And Yeah.
Well, I'll say it like this for somebody who's in attendance. Took my daughter to her first game as well as my girlfriend and one of her sons, his first game as well. That first half, I'm like, we chose this game to bring these two for their first, game at US Bank Stadium. And by the end of it, it was, why we chose this game? Having said that, okay, defense, first drive, hold them to a field goal. Offense, 3 and out, block punt, touchdown. Offense, 2 and out. Dalvin Cook, great run, then fumble. Defense gives up its 1 touchdown, and it's the middle of the fourth quarter, and we're down 17-0. Yep. I'm like, oh, boy. Now, we'll skip ahead. Defense did his job. I mean, we criticized Ed Donatel all last week and beyond for the last 5 games being over 400 some odd yards. That defense gave up that 1 touchdown in the first quarter, and they gave up 5 field goals. And 2 of those 5 field goals were a result
short fields.
Kevin O'Connell giving them short fields and outsmarting himself yet again by going for it on 4th and 1 and then a fake punt on the next drive. Listen, I don't mind the aggressiveness, but don't try a jet sweep to C.J. Ham. He should be about the 7th or 8th person who should be running that play. You got Jefferson, KJ, Thielen. I wouldn't do Hawkinson. That's a close call.
Rieger, though. I know, seriously, we're going to get into Rieger later, but for a jet sweep,
I'd rather have the backup quarterback come in and have Kirk Cousins run the jet sweep. I'd rather have CJ.
That's mean to poor CJ Ham. Come on, Justin.
It is what it
Surely
is.
CJ would beat him in a race, right? Surely. He's a former running back.
No, they wouldn't see it coming. They're like, yeah, right. They're not going to hit the ball to Kirk
Could you imagine that? Oh, my God.
By the end of the first half, the paper airplanes were out in full force, rip up the programs, made paper airplanes, people throwing them left and right. The couple that was to my left a little bit after the 2-minute warning. I believe it was when the Vikings punted before the last field goal drive of the first half by the Colts, and they didn't come back. They did not come back. I thought they were trying to beat the traffic to the concession lines. Apparently, they were trying to beat the traffic, period. So having said all that, the Vikings go 3 and out on that first drive, and if our kids weren't there, I think that's when I would have started to consider leaving because you had to get something on that first drive, and they got absolutely diddly, but yet another 3 and out. And then the whole thing changed, and I still cannot believe what I saw. Okay, first drive, you could say, well, Colts just playing soft defense, hoping that, they just run some clock. The Vikings gave up their last field goal, and I'm like, we can't be trading 7s for 3s. We don't have time.
Yep.
And from that point on, they didn't score. Touchdown. Interception. Thank you, Jalen Reagor, even though I stumped for you and said, hey, you need more snaps.
Yep.
By the way, those if Justin Jefferson gets hit in the head one more time, I'm going to lose it. It's like they're headhunting the guy, and I get it.
No, they are.
UOC's calling them out too.
Yep. And they're not getting suspended. This is the problem.
No,
they need to be suspended.
Yes, I agree. What's up, Warlord? Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. Hit this like and the share button if you could. Having said all that, Vikings get the touchdown to Thielen, and at that point, people are like, we're within 12. We can get this. And no, excuse me, Thielen was to get within 1 score. I beg your pardon. But the point is, the guy behind me is just like, I'm going to be so mad if the Vikings come all the way back and tie this game just to lose on a last-second field goal. And I
thought the same thing as him.
I said, you ain't lying, because what terrified me wasn't the 2-point conversion. What terrified me is, can this defense really hold up and not let up any more points? SK, stop lying. You did too. Not know the whole time. Thanks for joining us, boss man.
Never in doubt, Justin. Never in doubt.
Having said that, the stadium was about the loudest it was outside of the game winner when TJ Hawkinson caught the 2-point conversion. And it was just like, okay, this is that moment. Defense, you have done your job. And I can't be mad at you if you give up points here, but get us one more stop. And they did. Unfortunately, the Vikings couldn't win in regulation, but did in overtime. Long story longer, it was a great experience outside of sitting in traffic on the way out. But, hey, do not care. It was ridiculous. I said it. What I put in the comments of my video was that was the Vikings' 1,000th game, and they put us through a range of about 1,000 different emotions with that game looking so bad, and then somehow finding a way to pull it off. Kyla, I'll swing it back to you here. Does this win finally get the Vikings out of the quote-unquote fraudulent department, or are we still frauds because we got down to such a crap team in the first place? Your thoughts?
Well, apparently we're fraudulent because we got down to such a crap team in the first place. But I mean, I saw, a non-fraud team, apparently, the Dallas Cowboys lose in
Yes.
overtime to the Jaguars. I saw another, apparently, non-fraud team almost lose to the Texans. But, we're super fraudulent. I mean, I don't think people are going to watch it and be like, oh, yeah, this team is, go rep the NFC or anything like that. But it's got to count for something. Like, it doesn't matter who you're playing. No win in the NFL is easy. Any given Sunday, anyone can win. And having the actual heart and no quit attitude is what has gotten this team to 11 wins in the first place.
Right.
And to be down 33-0 at halftime and get back out on the field. And I know the Colts got lazy on defense and they basically didn't really try on offense, but we still had to score that many points in a half to do it, and doing it well. And not only that, having 2 touchdowns called back that should have counted.
Yes, I didn't even get to that in my recap.
Still kept plugging away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so impressed with the team's no quit attitude. And yeah, are they the best team in the NFL? No, but this type of stuff will account for something in the playoffs. Nothing's been easy for them, and it's proven to me that when the going gets tough, they're not going to quit.
Mike, I'm going to throw SK's comment back up, and I'll throw it to you on this. Okay. And again, mind you, we did talk about it in the recap there, that outside of that first quarter touchdown, they gave up 5 field goals. 2 of them, they already were in field goal range and got the stops. And as Kyla just pointed out, lost out on the first one. I don't agree with the call, but I can say, all right, I see where you were going. The second call was so egregious that
worst ever.
It's my girlfriend was just like, are you not screaming because you're sitting next to me? And I said, no, it's not that. It's not that. And then not a couple minutes later, that second touchdown that should have been happens. And I went off and I started screaming. It couldn't be. But to SK's question here, has the defense turned the page? Again, I know it's the bones of Matt Ryan, and Jonathan Taylor played one series, and a lot of their points came on fluke plays and us setting them up. Is this defense different if they turned a page, or did they just play a bad team?
No, they found something. Now I don't know how sustainable that is. We've used that word a good amount this season, haven't we? But the reason why I think they generally found something, okay? They used different players. Personnel was different. They changed it up. They blitzed more. They were more aggressive. Magic, Daniil Hunter can get home if you blitz once in a while. Darius Smith caused some havoc. He forced that fumble that was taken away. Mm-hmm. I digress. But, yeah, Brian Asamoah, you laughed at me when I said it. He played 22 snaps yesterday or Saturday. And he played really well. He forced out that fumble. The initial one that was right. I'm talking about fumbles and not talking about that we actually didn't have the ball. Yeah. Hilarious. But he punched the one out on Michael Pittman. And Duke Shelley.
I was going to say, Duke is on fire.
He's the most famous Duke in Minnesota right now. Duke basketball and whatever other thing you could think of has taken a step behind. And we said that this is a good player. But, man, he was fantastic on Saturday. That hit that he laid on Michael Pittman, Cameron Dantzler, and I'm a fan of his, not in his wildest dreams is he making that play. No chance. There's no chance. The way that he anticipated that and came in like a missile and absolutely drilled Michael Pittman, who is a big, tall, physical wide receiver. You're not hitting Tutu Atwell or a guy like that. Like a Wes Welker. That's a big dude. So he knows how to take contact and get extra yards. Incredible job by Duke Shelley. And I think Ed Donatel had to be pushed by KLC. But again, I said it last week. Credit to Kevin O'Connell, though you could say it was too little or too late. Fine, whatever. If it took a loss to the Detroit Lions to put this defense into being a average to okay defense, I'll take it. And I'm not saying they can do it all year. We'll see. Starts next Saturday with the Giants. But I think they found something to not be giving up 400 yards, and that's a plus.
Well, let me get some shouts in here, Bandino. Thanks for coming. We appreciate you. Let's come back and take that 1 seed. We'll talk about a little bit of what's going on in Philadelphia later. If we hadn't lost that Detroit game, I would be a little more willing to talk about could we catch Philly or not. But the bottom line is Philly would have to lose out and we would have to win out. That's highly unlikely.
No.
Kofi, thanks for joining us. Hey, hit the subscribe button to all the channels. And yes, the refs were absolutely terrible. There were some bad calls both ways. Obviously, the two most egregious ones were the two defensive touchdowns that were taken off the board. But my goodness, they were so bad all the way around. I'm going to get Bandino's comment up here. Dock the refs pay. Don't dock the refs pay. Take the refs pay because they did not perform at anywhere close to a level of an NFL official.
Because Justin, let me just get this off my chest.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've noticed this in the NFL, and it really annoys me. Really, North American sports, quite frankly. These refs get away with this stuff all the time, and all they get is these garbage PR statements that get put out that say that they did things wrong. These guys should be accountable for this stuff. And I'm sorry. If it's so egregious, if you had that bad of a game, you shouldn't be able to ref another game this season at this point of the year. Okay, we're talking about December football. This isn't September. This is talking about the difference of a 2 seed and a 3 seed.
Right.
These guys should be done. I should never see those guys again this season.
They would have no refs left. Look at what happened.
That's true. It is.
That's a good point, too.
Washington got so screwed. And, like, I would have been angry if we lost and, you know, we got those touchdowns called back. But, like, that could really screw with Washington making the playoffs. Like, ooh, but you're right. It just feels like every week, multiple games.
It's rampant around this league right now.
So bad.
They need to bring in a new crop of refs, too. And there was a really good point made on one of my spaces this weekend by Mateo, who you've heard Mateo before. He's been a regular of the spaces. He said that they should bring in former players or players that are still playing college ball who are not going to make it and get them to become referees. It's a high-paying job.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like $100,000+ There's a lot of people that would take that money.
I'd take that job.
Yes. Exactly my point. They need to get younger guys that know the sport. It's a joke.
People booing me like all game. Because even if you do a good job, you're still going to get booed because fans will just be angry at you.
Right. There's always going to be something.
I think it does take a special personality to be able to hand that on a weekly basis. Right. But at least in the NFL, I mean, it's not like you're doing it every other night. But I don't know.
But I don't think these refs can do it, though. I don't think they can handle it. I'm sorry. I have to mention it because you referenced the Washington game yesterday. Sunday Night Football. I have to laugh. Terry McLaurin looks at the referee, asks him if he's okay. The ref puts thumbs up at him, and then they score a touchdown with Brian Robinson. What a story he's been. Talk about comeback player of the year. That guy needs to win all sorts of awards for what he's had to overcome this season. And then they call the legal procedure. And I'm sorry, one of the dumbest penalties in football, too, legal procedure. If it's not blatantly obvious, it's too much. If there was just another receiver in the area, he's fine. Like, how dumb is that? To take a touchdown off the board for that? He didn't do anything illegal. In reality, he didn't screw over anyone. He didn't chip a block. You know what I mean? It didn't affect the play at all. Just little things like that. It's ridiculous. But referees are a joke.
Mike, you are an NFL wide receiver. You should be able to look left and say, true. I need to take a step up. And you can't. Isn't that the ref's job though, Justin? He's literally, that's what he's looking at you and asking you. I get what you're saying. You're not wrong. But in that situation, for the love of God, you're at the 1 yard line. Come on. Because he's telling you it's a run play. He's making it clear to you, I'm not catching this. I just want to be in the right area. Am I good? I don't know. That's just me. As a player, you never leave it up to a referee.
That's a great point.
Do something up. Now,
same as
if you take every precaution, so to speak, if you line up correctly and a ref screws it up, then a ref screws it up. You never leave any possible way for them to screw it up. You can control what you can control. So
that's fair. That's a fair way of
That
looking at
doesn't
it.
change the discussion topic about how awful the referees were. That was blatant pass interference on the last play. And it's a rampant problem. And this is just, how many billions of dollars does this league make that they can't get good officials is beyond me. But
Yeah.
having said all that, second half of this game, took them a possession to get going. But I'm going to say it like this. Some of the narratives about number 8, when he was in Washington, and even the first few years he was with us, had some merit to it. Were they overblown? Probably a little bit. So it's somewhere in the middle. It's not entirely true. It's not entirely false. But Kirk Cousins, 417 yards in the second half, which would have been his 7th highest game total of his career. 4 touchdowns, 4 different receivers. Yes, did have a couple interceptions yesterday, and yes, was a little inaccurate in the first half. Vikings offense had 3 first downs in the first half and 29 in the second half. I don't know what other words and what other superlatives to use other than that offense outside of when Justin Jefferson wasn't on the field, could not be stopped yesterday. Kyle, I'll start with you. Kirk Cousins, your thoughts.
They just needed Patrick P to be like, "What's up? Go score 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
We'll do our job." I don't know. It just shocks me. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I feel like we have a similar discussion about this every week, and I'm just straight up baffled. And yesterday was the biggest example, but it's crazy how the offense could look unstoppable during points of a game, and they have through most of our wins. They have, and then they have been basically phantoms for other parts of the game. And I don't know, it's just crazy. I feel like KOC was playing, like, my biggest issue sometimes with him, and I love him, is that sometimes his play calling is a little conservative. Like, I don't understand why he can be conservative, then run that play with CJ Ham,
right,
and go for it instead of punting there in that situation. So it's like, okay, dude, like, how about you open up your capable offense a little more? And then he did in the second half, and look what happens. Like, I just don't know why we can't do that all game. I mean, you're right, Kirk Cousins, he did look a little shaky to start the game in the first half. I don't really put either of those picks on him. I'm sure we'll get to that as well. But
right,
like, eventually I know he's going to get it going because he does every week. So I just wish they could open it up earlier and have more of that all game, because we're going to have come playoff time and we play, good teams. It's got to happen because they can. We saw it. Like, you don't accidentally score that many points.
Mike, outside of Kirk Cousins, talk to me a little bit about KJ Osborne, your guy. Career day yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes, Justin Jefferson was still getting his touches, but Adam Thielen up until the fourth quarter was on a milk carton, and KJ Osborne caught that big long pass down the middle, and that's what set up the Vikings' first touchdown. I mean, is KJ in the spot where he's ready to take over the number 2 receiver?
No. I'm not going to change my opinion. They better draft one. They better do it. That's a story for another day. It's easier to be a wide receiver 3. I'm sorry. The fact that he hasn't had a game like this shows you he's not a comp. I'm sorry. Let's not go crazy. He's not ready to be a wide receiver 2. I don't think he ever will be. That's not a shot at him. Being a wide receiver 2 in the 1% of the 1% is very difficult.
Right.
On the rest of the wide receivers and skill position players, Dalvin Cook was fantastic yesterday. I mean, that screen to the house. He's trying to get me to stick around. He's really trying to get me to buy in.
Right.
I'm really pulling hard. I'm not wanting to keep a running back at a decent amount of money. That's not far from a rookie deal, but he's trying to get me in his good books. I want to play on that screen pass. Ezra Cleveland, take a bow. What blocking. He ran with Dalvin. He ran a race with Dalvin Cook, and at one point was ahead of him. And I know Dalvin had to slow down because of blockers, but an offensive lineman should not be that fast. That's crazy. And Jalen Reagor, we got to get into it. I'm going to do it now. It's over. You lost. You blew it. That opportunity stuff we were talking about, good night. It's done. I do not want to ever see him play wide receiver 3 snaps aside from gadget plays. He blew it. He did it twice. They give you 2 routes in big spots. and you completely miss the both and run wrong routes on both of Kirk Cousins' interceptions. And the second one, my God, man, we're trying to get a comeback here. You run the route, finish your route off. I don't care if it was incomplete. It probably wasn't going to be caught, but it wasn't going to be an interception if he runs the route through. Brutal. Just brutal. And you could see why Philadelphia fans were done with him. And look, did he deserve that hate he got in Philadelphia? No. It's disgusting, and I hate when people say things like that to players online. It's absolutely unnecessary and disgraceful. But you could see why Philly traded him. That's all I'm going to say on that. And TJ Hawkinson, clutch on that 2-pointer.
I think, too, with Rager is that it's not the fact that he didn't perform well in Philly. It's the fact that they drafted him over Justin Jefferson, which made it even so much worse. And he got more hate. And, I mean, that's why I thought maybe a change of scenery would be like revive his career, but no.
I think he has a real niche and a nice niche that he could be our punt returner for a long time.
Right.
Like
the one that got called back on that ridiculous Chris Boyd penalty. Oh, Jalen Reagor read it. He was on a full sprint and had it down to the 20 and it got called.
Let me make this clear to everyone. He could be our next Marcus Sherrills, a guy that you never really play at his position, but he plays for many, many years, and he's good at being a special teamer. That's okay. Remember, we traded a 5th and a 7th for him. That first-round pick is irrelevant to us. Right. I don't care that they spent the first-round pick. The only part that's relevant is that we got JJ. We know the story.
Exactly.
If he could be our next Marcus Sherrills, that is a W for a 5th and a 7th all day long. We have had massive punt return problems prior to him getting here. Mm-hmm. And look, I know everyone wants to jump on him on Saturday's performance, and it was ugly. But he's a really good punt returner. That is not easy to come by. Watch punt returns around the league. They've been muffed all over the place.
Right.
He's had a good season that way, and that's okay if that's what he is. If he's a good gadget player who's a punt returner similar to like Ted Ginn back in the day, fine.
Ted Ginn, David Palmer. I know that goes back a little bit.
Exactly.
No, I would say that
Devin Hester was another kick returner, but you get the point.
I would say my assertion that Jalen Reagor should be getting 20 snaps a game, that got blown up, to say the least, until he gets on the same page. But to your point, it's not Jalen Reagor's fault that he got drafted before Justin Jefferson.
Exactly.
It's not Manute Bull's fault that they drafted him above Michael Jordan. I mean, what's he going to do about it? I know. I'm putting JJ in the possibility of being at the same level as the GOAT, but I digress. He's on his way. Hopefully he stays healthy. He doesn't take too many more headshots. Moving forward here, because we are going to get out at quarter after today. We really are, because we have to become Rams fans.
Baker Mayfield, let's go get it. Wake up feeling dangerous today. Come on.
Mayfield after tonight. After tonight, we can go back to hating Baker Mayfield, because
I don't hate Baker Mayfield, so it's fine.
Me neither.
I think he gets a lot of bad hate.
For Baker.
What a playoff game in Cleveland. How unappreciative could you be? And Watson stinks. He's been trash since they let him go. Garbage. Anyway.
Before the next talking point, just want a quick rundown of all the shows that are going to be on the Purple Code once again this week. Tomorrow night, we got Rappin' Dave. As always, it's going to be a party. And it's going to be interesting seeing those two go at it like they always do. We got Jamie and Casey on Thursday. Now, normally, Rap and SK go on Saturday nights, the night before the game. But since it's a Saturday game, I'm assuming that they're going to try and get that done either on Friday or possibly Saturday morning. They might just do the pregame show. We get all that. Having said all that, please keep it tuned to the Purple Code. So like, comment, and subscribe. Again, hit that subscribe button on Facebook, YouTube, follow on Twitter, TikTok, as well as the rest of the Purple Code family, which would include myself, Purple and Gold for Days. Rap is at Purple Pocket Podcast, and Dave is at Minnesota Sports Talk. Having said all that, your initial thoughts. We don't do predictions anymore, but Kyla, I'll start with you. Your initial thoughts on the Giants, who got that win by hook or by crook last night and are still in prime playoff position, could be a possible wild card weekend preview. What say you about the Vikings' chances this coming Saturday against the Giants?
Sure. They can win.
Mike, your thoughts?
That was brilliant, Kyla. That was brilliant. No, in all seriousness, I honestly think we're going to win this game. I know the emotional high thing has been a real problem, but
that's the key. Yep.
Let me make this put into context, though. You played Philly and Dallas in those next couple games. New York is not those teams. This game's at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Kirk Cousins is feeling it right now. And when he's feeling it like this is the Kirk Cousins who wins Players of the Month. Now, do I hope he kind of waits for another month for this play to just stretch over to that thing called the postseason?
You would like him to be the Player of the Month in January. You are correct.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I think we will beat the Giants because what's their offense? Like, we can laugh at the Colts.
Saquon Barkley, and that's it. That's all they have.
Their receiver core is far worse than Indy. Indy at least has Michael Pittman Jr. and Alec Pierce. Those are competent receivers. No respect to Isaiah Hodgins, former Buffalo Bill.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the practice squad his entire career in Buffalo. And great resurgence that he's made at 53 and is doing things. But I do not fear Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins, or Davis Sills. No, sorry. And this is the time to get home. The one thing the Giants have is a great run game, as you alluded to. Andrew Thomas has been fantastic this season, the tackle there. And they have a decent defense. That's what scares me. Their defense is underrated. Now, they also allowed 33 points to Lions, who could score a lot of points, just like we can. So let's do that to them. Win by 2 scores so I can stop here seeing this dumb, really annoying points differential thing that makes me want to pull my hair out. You're grasping at straws because it's Kirk Cousins, everyone, in the national media, and I know that's what you're doing. But keep trying. Keep going. Keep going into the postseason. It's fine. We want to be the guys, the girls that everyone disrespects. By all means, go ahead.
I am with you on the notion that I am sick and tired of trying to get the narratives about this quarterback, the narratives about this team change. I am now in the camp that says, let's keep the narratives as they are.
Play the bad guy role like LeBron used to do back in the day.
Let's just keep playing they doubted us, and we are the underdogs. Listen, shameless plug. If you do not already subscribe to Purple and Gold for Days, please do so. But I just put in the chat a link to my latest video where, again, Greg Rosenthal and his tweet saying it would be like Kirk Cousins to be, what did he say, mediocre, to just
to play like that. To play like that in a 33-point comeback. That's exactly what he said.
I'm sorry.
Which makes no sense.
No, I'm sorry. But, Mike, even you and I, as the staunchest Kirk doubters, so to speak, that he could lead a team to a Super Bowl, you cannot tell me 417 yards and 4 touchdowns. It's just, just like Kirk Cousins to play like that during.
We don't watch the games. Like you can't tell me any of these people actually sit in front of their TVs and watch the game.
And can I say?
Tell me you didn't watch that game without telling me you didn't watch that game. Go ahead.
Can I also add this? And I'm by far not an analytics guy like crazy. I like PFF, but it's not the NLBO to me. I'm like you, Justin. Wins are the only stat that I care for.
Right. I don't care about ESPN's QBR. I don't care about this. I
agree. But how on earth did PFF do a thorough breakdown of every play by Matt Ryan and Kirk Cousins and came to the conclusion the guy with 180 yards passing with 1 touchdown, who blew a 33-point lead, should have a grade 8 higher than the guy who threw for over 460 yards.
I don't care.
I just don't get it. It's hate. It's just hate at this point. It's just blatantly obvious hate.
Cool. It's cool to hate Kirk Cousins.
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
There were times where he deserved some of the
criticism. Like Philly.
And
Week 2.
And 2018, where he has a game against the Bears junior varsity, and they didn't get it done. Okay? I'm not going to blame him for the playoff loss to San Francisco because, frankly, our offensive line had no shot against that defensive line.
And he beat the Saints the previous week in a 14, they were 10-point underdogs. Talk about clutch.
He had 1 clutch drive, but we won't call down.
My
overarching point is we have begged Kirk Cousins to say, listen, maybe the expected. I know what the biggest problem with Kirk Cousins is. He came in to a team that had just gone to the NFC Championship game. And he had just gotten a contract that was the first fully guaranteed. And the Vikings brass, whether it was anybody not named Mike Zimmer, but Rick Spielman, the Wilfs, Paul Allen, Paul Charles.
But they were right.
all raved about this guy, saying, "Oh my gosh, what an upgrade!" And was he an upgrade in certain areas?
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
In certain areas, was he a downgrade? Like
Yes.
at the time,
Leadership
at the time, yes.
Yeah.
So maybe some of the hatred towards Kirk Cousins is no fault of his own for being built up by the team that signed him to convince their fan base that they didn't just give him a bucket load of money and that he wasn't worth it. But this season, he has done everything that we begged him to do from the day he signed here. He is a leader. He is taking hit after hit and getting up. And again, he was always durable outside of the game that they rested him and outside of the one game against Green Bay where he had COVID. This guy is absolutely earning, and he's not being – again, there have been times where I've said, is his play commensurate to how much of the salary cap his contract was taking up? Yeah, there were times probably not. This year, he absolutely is and is exceeding it as far as I'm concerned. I've been derelict in my duties to get some of these chats up here. But Bandino, thanks again for joining us. Can't remember if I shouted you out or not. But a very good question here. What do we need to do to stay hot after the first series or two? How do we figure it out? Mike, I'll start with you on that one. Again, we've been saying it all year. This team always has a good drive. Well, except for this week, but usually has a good drive in the first drive or two and then goes to sleep for, 2 quarters. I guess they just went to their 2-quarter slumber, the first 2 quarters instead of in the middle this time. Go ahead.
This is the thing, Justin. I'm going to be blatantly honest. They use the Uno reverse card. Let's be honest, like we've talked about. There is no changing too much with this team. Get on the ride, and it kind of is what it is. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest, I'm happy. They're 11-3. I don't expect them to be the greatest draw. They aren't that team. Right. They will have moments where they have 3 and outs. And I'll be honest, just there are times they can avoid those 3 and outs. Yes. But are they probably still going to do them? Yes. And I do want to give a side note. This is kind of relevant off topic. But Greg Joseph, clutch.
Yes.
I've given him a lot of criticism. But again, I don't have an agenda here. My agenda, win a Super Bowl, win games, I'm happy. He has made every money kick when we've needed it this season. He's given us like 3 wins.
Yes.
It's gone under the radar. Buffalo, New Orleans, and then this game against the Colts. If he misses any of those kicks,
right,
he's probably gone. He was probably gone had he missed in Buffalo after he had already missed kicks. And when he needs a field goal, that is not 50 yards or plus, 49 and down. He's perfect this season. For a Vikings kicker, that is a God-given miracle.
I don't even think it's safe to even be talking about this, to be honest.
I have to do it. I can't not credit him because then I feel like I'm being, I only,
well, that's the
talk with the guy when I bash him. That's not fair.
When somebody's deserving of criticism, we criticize, and when they're deserving of praise, we praise.
I'm just being superstitious.
Yes.
I just don't think we should be.
Justin Tucker's the purple kicker missing kicks now. We're good. Yes. We're good. We're good.
Sorry. There's a couple. This is for you, Mike. It's too evil to hope, and two evils always stir in the pot.
Okay. I do want to actually touch on Zimmer really quickly. I was not going to be able to mention this, but since he threw it to me, it helped me out.
We got to wrap.
In the last 2 seasons, I'll give you 2 seconds. In the last 2 seasons prior to this year, the Vikings won a combined 15 games.
Yeah.
We have a shot to win 14 games this year. If you win a wild card game, O'Connell has matched what Zimmer did in 2 years.
There you go.
In 1 season.
That's true.
And it's all because what he does. I'm gonna be quick because I know you want to go. He is everything this team needed, and then some.
That was fun. What a fun game to be a Vikings fan for. Let me see. Bandino listening. It's a lot harder when you can't get the ranking going. Yes, I would agree. We need to be better at establishing. I will say this. I thought Dalvin Cook was going to get caught because once he got through the line, he didn't have that 5th gear, that breakaway. But ultimately, he got into the end zone due to shiftiness and the fact that
great blocking.
It was a screen in the offensive
line. Blocking.
Took off right off the bat, and by the time he zigged and zagged. But like you said, to have an offensive lineman down there with Dalvin Cook is absolutely incredible there. Initial thoughts next week for me. all I want is to not have that emotional high. And you got the extra day off this time. Again, coming back from Buffalo and playing a very good team in Dallas is one thing. Going on the road to Philly after beating Green Bay, okay, that's one thing. You came back after a somewhat disappointing loss to the Detroit Lions, which, again, I'm kind of still kicking ourselves for that game because the Vikings' magic number to clinch the number 2 seed is 3. If they win all 3 games, they are the number 2 seed. If they win 2 and San Francisco loses 1, same thing. Had they beaten Detroit, they would have been able to clinch in Green Bay and then have been able to take their pseudo bye week against the Bears. But now they might have to play it out. And I do still think it is imperative for this team to get that number 2 seed. San Francisco, you can make a case that they might not be as great as they've looked considering the teams that they've played. They haven't played too many world beaters outside of Miami, but I'd much rather have that game against San Francisco in US Bank Stadium. And I think if we go out to Levi, we'll have a repeat of 2019. But to wrap this up here quick, Mike, your final thoughts.
Okay, so I'll make this really quick. Like I said, Baker Mayfield, come on, man. Come on. Screw the Packers. I want them done. This has nothing to do with the Vikings anymore. Screw the Packers. Justin, I know that's music to yours for me because I've had some moments where I don't hate the Packers as much as you think I should. Go and beat them down in their own building and make them all cry and eat cheese at 11:30 at night. Be brilliant. Please do.
There's part of me that wants them to – it's not that I want them to win, but part of me wants us to be the ones to give the final nail in the coffin.
Of course, I knew you were going to say that.
If they lose tonight, I'm not shedding any tears. Kyla, your final thoughts on this game this weekend and the upcoming or anything else you want to get out before we get out of here?
Sorry, just a part of me at what you guys said. I want them kicked, get their asses out of here as soon as possible. Screw them, lose immediately. I hope they get embarrassed tonight by Baker Mayfield, who's been on that team for 9 days or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. I know you love Aaron Rodgers so much, Kyla.
Green Bay. Their fans get bent, all of them. Go Rams, huge Rams fan.
Rams house.
Yes. I'll say this. I haven't looked at the weather report for Green Bay, but it did snow up in here in Rochester here, so I don't know any clue about what the weather's going to be like. But want to give thanks again and shout out to Rinaldi's Pizza and Pasta on Wood Lane Drive in Woodbury off of I-494 and Valley Creek Road, as well as Nautical Bowls, also in Woodbury. They're on Hudson Place off of I-94 and Woodbury Drive. This is a Purple Coat production, so we want to thank SK and company and Rick and everybody else who's given us this platform to be able to bring you Vikings content to talk about the Vikings one way or the other, good, bad, or indifferent. Thank you kindly. With all that being said, please like, comment, and subscribe to all the Purple Code channels, starting with, of course, the Purple Code on YouTube, Purple Code backup page on Facebook, because the first one got hacked, is gone and lost forever, as well as Twitter and TikTok. Also subscribe, if you could, please, if you wouldn't mind, to Purple and Gold for Days, Purple Pocket Podcast, Skol, Minnesota Sports Talk, as well as the G&G podcast. I forgot the guys, Gacy and James, earlier, so for that I apologize. But it is the mantra of Skol for Days with Dave, Mike, and Kyla. We just want to see the Vikings win one Super Bowl just once before we die, and they are 11-3. They are division champions. They will be playing a home playoff game wild card weekend. Hopefully they will get that 2 seed, because there is a small part of me that hopes Detroit runs the table because I want another crack at the guys.
Justin, I actually agree with that. I want to quiet Detroit so bad. They're thinking they're tough guys. Like, you ain't Arnold Schwarzenegger of NFL football here. Relax.
Yeah, you've been to the playoffs once in my lifetime.
The Bucs won the division before them.
Thank you. And they're not even in the division anymore.
No.
But having said all that, okay, yeah, you beat one of the top 5 teams in the NFL at home when they had one of their worst games. So thank you, everybody who joined us in the chat. Too many names to go through. We much appreciated. This is Skol for Days, a Purple Code production. Thank you kindly, and have a great rest of your evening. Go Rams. Skol Vikes.
Skol.
Skol.